Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about our presenter today, Adam Lewinberg. So a little bit of background and experience. He is the president of Postal Advocate Inc. It is the only mail audit and recovery firm in the US and Canada. We manage a portfolio of 58,000 pieces of mailing equipment for the largest US companies. He speaks nationally and teaches nationally on mail savings and industry trends. He's the industry co-chair for the Boston Postal Customer Council. He is also a member of the Mail Systems Management Association. He also has various certifications, such as the CMDSS and the MDC. He's a featured writer for the Mailing Systems Technology magazine, and he also worked for one of the largest mailing vendors for over 17 years. He was the director of national sales for Presort, tabletop inserters, addressing, hardware, software, and green offerings. He was one of the top account managers nationally, working with some of the nation's top accounts. We are also not affiliated with any mailing vendors, so we provide unbiased advice. So I'm going to pass this over to Adam.
Hi, thank you, Doris. Appreciate it. So today we have something very unique to discuss. So for the first time in 97 years, the post office is lowering their rates. So we've just never, in my lifetime, we've just never seen it. So it's an exciting thing to talk about because it's always the opposite. Usually we do these webinars and it's about how are you going to, manage the increase and how are you going to minimize the impact. But today we're going to actually show you how you can save money from the rates that are going down, but also some additional ways that you can save money in deeper ways. So what we're going to cover, why are rates going down, what specific rates are going down, some saving tips that you can use, and what do you need to do on your end. So the first thing that's the most important is these new rates take effect Sunday, April 10th, 2016. Post Office usually reduces rates on a Sunday, so everybody's set to go for Monday when they come in. So the big question that you're probably asking is, why is this happening? In our view, this is not something necessarily the post office wants. This is something I think that they're being forced to deal with and react to. So there's two ways that postage rates change, and most of the time it's an increase. So the two ways that it happens is there's either like basically postage rates are tied to the consumer price index, what we pay for all goods. And those range usually from 0 to 2% based on what's going on in the economy. So that's the control that the post office has in order to raise rates. They can, if the consumer price index is at 1%, they can raise rates 1% during that year. Well, first off, the CPI has been very low, so that's one piece. But the second thing is, in 2014, there is, in 2014, because of the post office's financial situation, they had to approve an exogenous increase. And an exogenous increase is for causes beyond their control, if they're in like undue financial pressures. And with the decrease in first-class mail volumes and more people moving a lot of their bills and statements and communications electronic, they were in a very bad financial situation in 2014. Also with the fact that they had to fund pensions for people in the military who are now with the Postal Service. And that created a huge issue of some of the pre-funding requirements. So in 2014, the Post Office approved an exogenous increase of 4.3%. So the Postal Regulatory Commission said that as soon as you have recovered $4.6 billion, this exogenous increase goes away. So that is scheduled to happen in April 10th, 2016. And that's why we're getting the rate decrease. The Post Office fought this and was trying to figure out ways to maintain this because they're clearly not in the world's best financial situation, and people are still decreasing their first-class mail volumes, and we're seeing every year decreases in the 2 to 4% range. But it's something that's being required by the Postal Regulatory Commission, and it wasn't a year that you were going to get anything passed through Congress to change this. But the benefit of it is we all get to take advantage of this, and we're going to show you the savings in a minute. So a lot of times when they do rate decreases or rate changes, it's only certain classes. But so there's two different prime classes of mail. There's market dominant classes, which are things like first class letters and packages, periodicals, standard mail, items where there's no competition. So nobody else sends a letter across the country for 49 cents. None of the private carriers can do that. Then there's competitive products, and competitive products are like the priority mail and the express mail, where UPS and FedEx are pretty much direct competitors on that. So the competitive products are not impacted by this rate decrease. Those rates actually went up in January. I think it was around 3 to 5%, 3 to 6% based on 2 to 6%, excuse me, based on the type of service. What is changing though are the market dominant classes. So first class letters, single piece letters and cards, pre-sort letters and cards, flats, parcels, outbound single-piece international, your periodical rates, any special services, standard mail, and package services. So we're going to go through a lot of these. It's going to be hard to go through every single rate classification, but we're going to hit the highlights of what we feel like most of the people on the call are using on a day-to-day basis. So the big one, first class mail. Retail savings 2.9 to 4.4%. So basically when you look at it, first class letters are going down 2 cents each. Flats are going down 4 cents and parcels are going down 9 cents. And on top of that, the additional ounce rate goes from 22 to 21 cents. So the interesting, when you look across these categories, the savings almost across the board is 4%. And the fact that it's at all weight breaks, because the second ounce, the additional ounce rate went from 22 to 21, it stays consistent no matter what the weight is of the piece. Also interesting that postage meter and PC postage users, their rate went down from 48.5 to 46.5. There's still a ½ cent savings by using PC postage or a postage meter. But all in all, for all the single piece communications or non-discounted mail you're getting, 4% overall decrease. So it's a huge win for mailers. Now, first class parcel rates. This is one thing we want to point out. When you look at the first class parcel rates, you can see that parcels went from $2.54 to $2.45. So they went down 9 cents a piece. There's 2 ways to handle parcels. You either can just run them through your postage meter. You say it's an off size and you pick parcel and you run it through your postage meter and you get these retail parcel rates. Or if you use a PC postage solution and you can submit the transaction electronically to the post office and you can have a label like this that puts a tracking barcode on it with the address of where it's going, you can get commercial package service rates. And the rates are much less. And you can see for the first few ounces, it's about the same. But once you get over 3 ounces, which most parcels are, it's anywhere between a 2 to 20% discount. Now, the other thing is commercial package services are up to 15.99 ounces, where first class retail parcel rates only go up to 13 ounces. So we were sending out some coffee mugs to some of our clients for the holidays, and they weighed 14 ounces when we were sending them out. So we, instead of having to send them out at $5.75 to $7.85 priority mail, we were able to send them out commercial package services for $3.55. It cut our costs 38 to 55% on those pieces based on where they were going. So it's just a saving strategy that you can look at. PC postage, the meter vendors have solutions to do this. There's other standalone PC postage providers that you can use. But we recommend if you're doing a lot of, whether it's priority mail or first class parcels, that you look at using a PC postage solution because the rates are less than what you get through a meter. Commercial savings. So across the board, commercial savings 3.8 to 6.8%. Automated 5-digit flats see the biggest decrease at 6.8%. So, and it's across the board. It is a, basically 4% decrease overall for all the different classes, whether it's letters, flats, or postcards. So a couple things to think about in looking at this that to make sure that you're doing the right things. Lots of clients who use this are using pre-sort services, and pre-sort services are one of the best ways to save money in postage because you get to give it to the pre-sort service, they commingle it with other mailers and get it out the door. A lot of customers who are sort of at the low end of the spectrum using pre-sort services just get a basic pre-sort rate, which is now going to 47.1 cents versus 48.5 versus 45.2 versus 46.5. The savings by using a basic pre-sort service is going down to 1.3 cents per piece. At one point, the savings was almost 3 cents. So at 1.3 cents, you want to make sure that a service still makes sense. Some clients are getting charged pickup fees or extra fees inside their, for using the services, and you want to make sure that you're actually you're actually saving money using the pre-sort service in the first place, especially if there are fees involved for pickup and extra charges. Now that's the downside of pre-sort services. The good point in pre-sort services is that when you're looking at mail, this is the 1 ounce rate. So let me back up 1 sec. When you're sending out a 1 ounce letter, it's going to be 47 cents. A 2 ounce letter is 68 cents, and a 3 ounce letter is 89 cents. When you use automation levels of mails, whether it's a pre-sort service or you barcode yourself, the rates that we're showing here are up to 2 ounces because the second ounce rides free. So we just got back from the National Postal Forum, and the Postmaster General got up at a speech and said she is petitioning the Postal Regulatory Commission to have the 3rd ounce ride free as well. So in other words, you could send out, potentially 80+ cents of mail, 3 ounces of mail for the 1 ounce rate. Now this isn't approved yet. If it is something that happens, it would probably be next year, but it's something that's in discussions. So the pros and cons that you have to think about is you want to justify that the pre-sort services have a big enough savings, but using the pre-sort service, if you do a lot of 2 and hopefully in the future 3 ounce mail, could really benefit you. So our goal is just to teach you the differences on these things. Standard mail. Standard mail across the board, you're going to see 2.5. The lowest is we see is about 2.5, 2.4%, up to about 4.3%, 4.8%, based whether it's standard or nonprofit. So across the board, everybody gets a savings. Every class of mail saves. Some tips that you can use is, people use standard mail usually for an advertising perspective. Whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're for commercial, there's something that you're trying to solicit your constituents for, whether it's responses or financial gain. So if you could send out 2 to 4% more mail, could you get a higher bang for the buck? And so this is a strategy that a lot of larger mailers are starting to implement, is because we get this discount, can we implement like a higher volume of mail and get higher responses and increased revenue or increased participation in our goals? The second strategy as far as reducing cost on this is consider a consolidation service, basically, or getting basically destination entry discounts. So the post office offers up to 4.5 cents, what they call a destination entry discount. So if you can bring the mail to that destination sectional center facility or business unit, then you can save up to 4.5 cents per piece on your standard mail. So there are different ways to do this. If all your mail is local, maybe you might want to drive it to the different sectional center facilities yourself that are around your local area. That's one strategy. A second strategy might be to use a consolidator. And a consolidator basically allows you to, they pick up your standard mail, consolidate it with other mailers, and then drop ship it to the different postal annexes throughout the country and share in that 4.5 cent savings. So it's a growing trend. There's a lot more activity around these consolidation services, and it can reduce your costs even further than what the post office is offering here. International rates. So if you're sending a 1 ounce letter, you can see it's going from $1.20, $1.20 to $1.15, a 4.2% decrease across the board. When you get to 2 ounce mail, the rates obviously change based on the zones that they're going, but you can still see that savings sort of stays across the board. And postcards are the same as letters. So not everybody knows what a Zone 4 or a Zone 8 or Group 8 international mail piece is. So we've added some of the countries and what international rate codes they represent, so you can sort of see how this is going to impact your international mail. Library and media mail. So the first thing that we thought made sense of here is some people use this service, some people may have forgotten about it. So really to talk about what it is. So media mail service is anything that's considered, media mail rates are limited to the items listed below. So it's books, sound recordings, video recordings, CDs, DVDs, play scripts, printed music. And so it's a very narrow group of what it's there, but the rates are amazing. So for a 2-pound package to be able to get it for $3.09, anywhere in the country, compared to priority mail, which would be $6 to $9, UPS and FedEx would probably be similar amounts, even if you ship it ground. So it's a very low cost way to ship things if it's the right type of material. Library mail is similar contents to media mail. There are a couple different requirements, but either each piece has to show the address or return address of a school, college, university, public library, museum, nonprofit, religious, educational, scientific, philanthropic group. So basically, whether you're sending to nonprofits or they're sending to you, you're allowed to use library rates for similar material to media mail rates. But as you can see, the rates are really good, and if you fall into those criteria, you may want to consider it, and you're getting a 4 to 5% decrease in costs. Special services. So when we look at the special services, certificate of mailing is going down from $1.35 to $1.30. Registered without insurance is going down 50 cents to $11.70. Certified mail, this is the big one we see lots of people use, is going down from $3.45 to $3.30. And the return receipts are going down from $2.80 to $2.70. So if you're doing a retail certified with return receipt, the price is going down from $6.74 with a 1 ounce letter down to $6.47. So it's a nice savings. Couple tips on certifieds. First, if you're going to spend, even if you're spending $6.47, compare those rates to your private carriers. If you're a big shipper with UPS or FedEx, do you get better rates using UPS or FedEx for your 2- and 3-day items or ground items than you would sending it through the post office? And with UPS and FedEx, you get guaranteed shipping and signature confirmation along with it and proof of mailing. So that's one strategy. The second is consider switching to electronic return receipt. Saves $1.35. So instead of getting the green card back, you would go onto a website and you'd be able to track all of your certified items in a batch. The postage meter manufacturers can offer this service with most meters, or there's third-party cloud-based services or PC postage solutions that can do it as well. But if you're doing a lot of certified, there's a huge movement towards electronic return receipt because it's just easier to manage. USPS tracking, first class is still free. Standard mail for electronic, the cost goes down a penny. And then priority mail is still free, but the signature confirmation cost goes down 10 cents for both retail and electronic. So what do you need to do? So if you have a mail machine, you want to make sure you download the rates before April 10th, 2016, when these rates are going to take effect. And so the way you do that is when you either the next time you need to refill your meter, the meter itself should ask you, do you want to download the updated rates? And so you'd want to say yes. If you don't need postage at this time, you want to just go into your meter and ask for do a funds update. See how much money you have sitting in your postage account with a meter vendor. And then the meter should prompt you to say, do you want to download the latest rates? If for some reason that doesn't work, or you want to reach out to the vendors, we've given you the links of the 4 biggest vendors in the space, and they all have rate change pages that have resources you can use. And then another really good source is to go to the USPS Postal Explorer website where you can get more information. And there they have Excel files and downloads and postage statements and everything that you should need to know about this spring 2006 rollback of pricing. So those are the main pieces of the rate change. The one thing we want to talk about, and I promise we'll only take a minute to do this, is what we do for clients is we help clients with multiple locations with equipment scattered throughout the country or North America save money on their equipment and make it easier to manage. So we're managing the largest portfolio of mailing equipment in the country. We manage 58,000 pieces of equipment. It may be the biggest portfolio in the world. And what we're doing is we work to try to help our clients save money on their equipment and their postage funding and the oversight and managing of it. What we're the most proud of is that we, on average, save our clients 57%, and these are some of the best managed portfolios in the country, which has amounted to over $21 million in client savings since 2013. We've also helped recover about $2.2 million in lost postage, vendor overcharges, and fees. Every one of our team worked for the mailing vendors, and we assign individual account representation to make sure that you're being taken care of. On top of that, we do a no-cost analysis for all of our potential clients who are interested, where we'll be able to quantify what the individual savings is before we even ask you to commit. So we'll be able to show you what your savings is on equipment and what overcharges and lost postage are available. And then if you decide to move forward, then we'll take care of making those savings happen and then managing your account for the future, as well as providing a web dashboard of all of your expenses and activities. So that's a little bit of a nutshell about us. So now we want to open it up to any questions. So anything that you have as far as the rate change or just general questions about mail, we're happy to answer. So I'm going to open it up. Doris, can you see if there were any questions that popped up on the screen? Doris, maybe I'm mute.
My apologies, I was talking to myself. Is there any word on the postage rates increasing again shortly after the decrease?
Sure. So not that we know of. We would expect that rates are going to change again probably in January, as they typically do. Post office has been trying to follow suit with UPS and FedEx to change their rates every January. And so we've been seeing the rates historically happen at that point. I would expect that this decrease will be short-lived and there'll be some sort of increase that will happen in January. But again, unless they file for an exogenous increase, they're still tied to the consumer price index, and they won't be able to raise rates more than 1 or 2%, because that's what the CPI is running these days. But we haven't heard of anything directly that's going to happen right after the fact.
Okay, thank you. And Christy, you have a question? I'm going to unmute your phone. Okay, you should be able to ask your question. Oh, okay, she also typed it in. Can I see the first class priority slide again?
Sure, bear with me for a sec.
And just so everybody knows, a copy of the presentation is on the on your control panel under handouts, the PDF version. We're also recording this presentation so that you can also hear the audio. I know everybody's enjoying Adam's voice, so a full copy with the audio is going to be included in the post webinar email.
So as you can see, the rates across the board are going down, 49 to 47 cents. If it's 3 ounces, 93 to 89 cents. So across the board, they're going down because you not only get the benefit of the first ounce reductions, but also the additional postage going down a penny. Any other questions on that piece? And we see some questions about getting a copy of the presentation. So yes, everyone will have that link that we can give to them. And if they need a separate copy sent out, we're happy to do that.
Oh, one more. More comment other than a great presentation, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And you can feel free to email Doris or I if you have questions after the meeting as well. We're happy to answer those for you. But how often is it that we actually get a savings on something, that our prices go down? It's not very frequent, so it's kind of nice and refreshing, especially for doing nothing. Any other questions? We'll stay on for another minute or two if anything comes up, and we want to thank everybody for joining the call today.
Adam, there's another question. Where can I acquire a complete comprehensive guide on the various postal services? I'm relatively new to handling postage and would like more detailed info on it.
Sure. There is a really good guide called, if you go into your Google search and you type in USPS Guide 123, it's the best guide. It lists all the postage rates that are out there. And then it gives you links to like the domestic mail manual, where if there's a specific rate class that you need more information on, that it has it there. So it's the main service that I use when I want to do any research on mail. If I go to the Guide 123, that's what I would recommend. Other questions? We want to thank everybody for joining today, and hopefully the information was helpful.
Sorry, Adam, one more question. Do you anticipate higher standard mail volumes because of this?
We have seen, as I've been studying this space, we've seen standard mail volumes dropped off during the recession. So in about 2007 or 8, standard mail volumes tanked. But since then, they've been plus or minus % every year. So I think you might see a slight increase if mailers really get aggressive and try to use this discount for extra volumes. But I have a sense that will be a small percentage and that most people will just take advantage of the savings. So I would say maybe they'll go up a hair, but I wouldn't expect huge percentage increases. Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much. We really appreciate everybody joining today.
This presentation was brought to you by Postal Advocate Inc. Please visit our website at www.postaladvocate.com.